Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative Two-Time Mom, and today we're going to be talking about homeschooling extroverts when you are an introvert. So this video is actually part of a collaboration with Pepper and Pine, and I will leave the playlist down below in case you want to check out any of the other contributors. This is one of those topics that is near and dear to my heart because I am sort of on the fence of being an introvert. I love to read, I love to have my space and my time. Currently my kids, all three of them, are off on other activities and I'm getting to sit here and talk with you. My house is quiet. I can just kind of breathe a sigh of relief. But I have two very energetic, very extroverted boys. Very extroverted boys. I find it highly ironic that as introverted as I am, my boys are that much extroverted. It is so funny to watch them. I guess maybe because I don't entirely understand that mindset. We went out the other night. This is Wednesday. We went out Saturday night. We spent all day at the Science Museum on Saturday, and then we went to a game night at our church, and they ran around with their friends for 2.5 hours, and we came home around 8 o'clock, and they just wanted to talk for about another hour. It just was not enough. As much as we had been out of the house, as much as they had been around other people, they wanted more and more. I have to laugh when people say, time with your kids is more about quality than quantity. I'm like, nope, not my boys. They want quantity, quantity, quantity. You give them time, they want 5 times as much as you can possibly give them. They are extroverted to the max. And for an introverted homeschooler, that could be a little overwhelming. And we have had to kind of work out a balance. When I feel myself getting overwhelmed, I have really had to step back and say, difference in personality, I need my husband to take over. So we're going to be talking about some tips just to kind of help extroverted kids, introverted homeschooler, or even the opposite, extroverted homeschooler and introverted kids, to get along in that scenario. So one of the things that has really helped me as an introverted homeschooler is to have some quiet time every day. And I know that sounds almost impossible when you are at home all day with your kids. But there are a couple of ways you can do that. With my kindergartner, he has just given up taking naps. And so instead of nap time, he has quiet time in his bed with a book or a quiet game that he can play by himself. My older kids, this is typically their reading time. I will set aside a time in the afternoon where it doesn't matter what they're doing. They put aside whatever schoolwork they have in that moment, and we just take 30, 40 minutes and everybody reads. The house is quiet. I've actually had to separate my boys from each other, otherwise they will talk. So we just have different areas of the house. If the weather's nice, sometimes they'll go out on the trampoline or take a blanket out in the backyard, and it just everybody stops what they're doing and has some quiet time. I feel like it really helps all of us, even those of us who are extroverted. It really helps us to just kind of get control of ourselves, calm down for a while, have some time, just some downtime, because I think even extroverted kids need that little bit of downtime to help them re-regulate their emotions, get that space, and even learn how to be quiet. That's a skill that my boys are learning right now, is how to sit quietly. And so we take that as our reading time, and then my little guy takes that as quiet time in his room. One of the other things that is really hard for me is that the noise level in this house gets very high. We live in a house that is less than 1,000 square feet, and I homeschool all 3 kids all the time. My husband comes home, he works out at home. We have company over quite a bit. We like to have people over for dinner, and just the noise level in here can get overwhelming. So a lot of times if everybody's kind of in a good space as far as not needing a lot of one-on-one instruction, I will go over to my computer and I will turn on Pandora, and I always go to the same station. I always go to piano music because there's no words. I know it's not going to be a real upbeat melody. It's just going to be peaceful, and that actually discourages them from talking, which is really unusual. Once the music comes on, everybody kind of gets quiet and is able to focus better, which is fantastic. It improves their focus and it reduces the noise level in the house. Plus, it's just enough little bit of background music without the words and the lyrics that it allows me to kind of take a deep breath and relax as well. My third tip is to work your kids toward independence, especially if you have more than one kid at home. I have 3 right now, and my older 2 are very independent. Of course, they still need me to check in with them. They're still learning new things. There's still concepts that they haven't encountered before, so I am constantly checking in with them, but they are much more independent than, say, my kindergartner. So as my kids are growing, I'm constantly working them toward independence so that I'm not always with them and that I can kind of step away. I think it gives them a break. It gives me a break for sure. And my little guy, he's not quite there yet, but that's what we will be working toward probably starting in 1st grade, just that independence. I can be in charge myself. I can stay focused even when mom is not here. And that just gives me a little break from constantly talking. My 4th tip is to find classes or sports where you don't have to be involved. And I know this sounds a little counterintuitive because we brought our kids home for homeschooling for a reason, so that we can be with them, we can encourage them, we can help them grow, we can be facilitating their education. But I think it's also good for them to take direction from somebody else, and it's good for us to not constantly have to do everything. So if you can find an art class, a Spanish class, a soccer team, a gymnastics class that you don't have to one-on-one be involved with them, I think that's great. We're outsourcing just a little bit to save our sanity, to help our kids take direction from somebody else, and it's a great socializing event for them as well. Now, my one word of caution for this tip is don't overcommit. And as homeschoolers, we can see so many opportunities that we can easily become overwhelmed with driving from point A to point B and all the way to point Z because we've overcommitted ourselves. So sit down, look at your priorities, pick 1 or 2 activities that your kids can be involved in that gives you just a little bit of time to step back and take a breath. My 5th tip is to do something for yourself every day. And I mean beyond the quiet time you have in the afternoon. Find some point in the day where you can either go in the bedroom and shut the door and do something quietly for yourself, or leave the house and do something quietly for yourself. For me, that would be scrapbooking, or writing in a journal, or picking up a book besides what I'm teaching, because a lot of times my books are what I'm teaching the kids. Picking up a book for myself that I want to read, that I find valuable, and taking that little bit of time every day. I know as introverts we need that little bit of recharge time, and so being able to do that, to step aside and say it's okay to take a half hour to an hour every day and do something just for me, it's going to make you so much more recharged and ready for the next day. You won't believe what a difference it will make in your attitude. So those are my 5 tips for introverted homeschoolers. Would you continue the conversation down below in the comments? Leave me a comment about what do you do to recharge. Are you an introvert homeschooling extroverts? Are you an extrovert homeschooling introverts? Are you somewhere in the middle, or you got a great big old mix of kids and you're not really sure where you're headed? Let's continue this conversation down below, and giving tips and ideas and just encouraging each other on this homeschooling journey. I know I couldn't do it alone, and I think it's so great to have that community gathering around each other. Make sure you check out the playlist as well so you can see all the videos from the other contributors. Let them know I sent you and say hi, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Bye guys.